are there authorities that are there databases, academics have looked into them, where when you develop a certain richness of information, right, about everybody who lives in an area, all of their social graphs, right, who's connected to who calls who, where their cell phones travel, right, what their medical histories are, all of these things, you know everything about them. When I worked at NSA, right, people always talk about content versus metadata. For those who aren't familiar with it, content is what you say on the phone call. Metadata is the fact that the phone call occurred, when it happened, from where, how long it existed for. I didn't really care about content because content takes a long time and people lie, right? If I'm listening to your phone call, what you say on it, you can talk around things, you can use code words, particularly if you're up to no good, right? But metadata doesn't lie. The fact that you made the phone call is there, it's instant. Computers can handle it, can analyze it instantly. I can tell who you love just from your phone records, right? I can see who you call in the middle of the night. I can see where your cell phone goes on the basis of its location data in the middle of the night, and what other cell phone ends up in the same place. It's not just about this, it's about your internet traffic. I don't need to see what article you read on a website, which is considered content. If I can see it's a gay and lesbian website, right, itself. Basically, the way encryption and content provisions on the internet work right now, saying you went to NewYorkTimes.com/ whatever story, it's headline, that would be a content-based decision. But saying you went to IP address, whatever digits, 22.33.44.55, which happens to be the New York Times website, there are no legal protections for that. I can look at that right now and nobody's going to stop me, nobody's going to put me in jail for it. I just have to mock up a justification for it. This exists for everyone everywhere. Corporations are doing the same thing. Not to be routine on this, but the ultimate question that you asked is, what is this stuff being used for? Right? How is it actually impacting people? And when you look at that, we see that their own documents, this is from my archive, the journalists published, they found that the NSA's own classified documents said they were spying on the pornography viewing habits of people whose politics they did not like. Now, in their defense, given the mood of the time and whatnot, if you consider this a defense at all, these individuals were Islamists. But the NSA admitted in their own reporting that they were not terrorists, they were not suspected of terrorism, and they were not advocating violence specifically. They just didn't like the political influence they had on people. They were collecting, in partnership with our Five Eyes partners, for people who haven't heard the Five Eyes, it sounds like a James Bond organization, but it's real. It's the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. The GCHQ was anybody who used Yahoo Messenger back in the day. Every 5 minutes, they were saving a snap from your webcam as it crossed the internet. They didn't care if it was in your house, didn't care if it was in your bedroom, anything like that. We see the Australian Federal Police today are using these same mass surveillance authorities that were justified on countering terrorism to identify the sources of journalists. We saw that this same kind of mass collection of information, this time was happening via the Australians, but it was shared back and forth with us, to target US law firms. This is not lawful in the United States, but we did it anyway. Nobody goes to jail for it, nobody gets punished. They were spying on law firms. Why? Was it a criminal defense of a terrorist case and they were hoping they would sort of crack the network? No. Unfortunately, it might be reassuring if it was. This was a trade negotiation between Indonesia and I believe Australia over the price of shrimp and clove cigarettes. That is the grand goal of mass surveillance. It goes on and on and on, where they're hacking the cards that go in your phone that hold the keys that secure your communications. We hacked Belgium, for God's sake, which is not exactly, considered the hotbed of nuclear proliferation or anything today. And the problem with this is we had legal access to this data already. Countries have agreements that are called MLATs, Mutual Legal Assistance Treaties. where they can go, look, we've got a warrant from a U.S. court. Based on these grounds, we're going to send it to your police agency. Your police agency is then going to ask your telecommunications provider on our behalf for this terrorist investigation. But they didn't want to do that. Again, it's about maximizing capability, authority, minimizing oversight. And this goes on and on and on, where even Canada was getting in on this kind of thing, targeting emails that were sent to government services. They were collecting information on app store downloads and things like that, although in this case it was a Chinese app store. If it is on the internet and it has information about people's lives, their activities, and it is not being protected, it is not being defended in a meaningful way, they're going to go after it because that's what they do.